All right. Hello and welcome everyone to Soulframe Scholar. Once again, I am Brosheim, and today we're going to talk about what we are doing now that the initial Blessed Farm has been nerfed, and whether or not that is a good thing, and what the current problems might be with the now current Blessed Farm, and where things can go in the future. So, as a recap, for those that were unaware, the initial Blessed Farm was a pre-log farm, where you just log out and log back in and do a quick run. That was from this location here, up by Sedai's Stake, and that would go to the front of this castle, where there is a level 25 banneret that spawns, and you would just run back and forth, kill the one guy over and over, and then also open the chests, which could get you the polished joineries. Now, it is worth noting that if you really want the polished joineries, you can still do this. You can still just like do everything that I show in that video. You actually don't even need to kill the enemies, and just open that chest over and over. If you want to get a bunch of polished joineries, that is a good way to do so. If you're not worried about the blesseds, that's still viable, though there's a lot of ways to get polished joinery, so it's actually not super necessary to farm it that way. However, blesseds no longer drop from regular bannerets. They only drop from boss level enemies, and that means basically like, does their health bar appear at the top of the screen? But the kicker is that they do need to be level 25 plus, which is where some of the problems lie. But with all of that stuff, the drop rate was increased from what I suppose was probably like 3-ish% to now it is 30% of the time you will get a blessed drop from the enemies when you encounter them. And that rate is actually quite good, and I have found the rate overall to be much better whenever you actually can encounter those enemies. Now, where can you encounter those enemies? So, the primary thing you're going to encounter is that in tails, which we can see a couple of have just gathered here, whenever you do a 3-star tail, so you have a 1-star, a 2-star, and a 3-star, whenever you do a 3-star tail, this always ends with a health barred boss enemy, at current, of course. That being said, what level they're going to be is very inconsistent, and you really won't know whenever you're picking this up, and that is where the problem is. Even if you're hanging out in the high-level areas, whether that's like the far northeast or the far southeast, down here by Nuvisi, you can pick up a bounty, say down here in the swamp, and this area is like level 35, generally speaking. If you pick up a tail down here, it can unfortunately take you like pretty far north up to like this-ish area, and then the end of your bounty is like level 20. So you go from level 35 enemies down to level 20 enemies, and because it's the end of your bounty, that means that now you can't get the blessed because the level of your tail dropped over the course of you doing it, which sucks. That can happen very much more commonly, I find, in like the northeast, where a lot of the tails are going to end at like level 23, which is really unfortunate. And they are like, higher level bounties for the purposes of getting a more faction rep. But if you're looking specifically for blesseds, it can be really, really frustrating even to like go up here and pick up a tail and have it be level 24 enemies. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I can't get anything for this. And especially if you're done with all the faction farms, you can't reset out of the tail to pick up a new one. So you end up in this unfortunate place where like finishing it is like a begrudging thing where you're not really getting anything for it. Obviously, a lot of people aren't going to be in that situation, and a lot of people are still doing their faction farms to max out the factions. So it is not like the biggest thing in the world at the current time, but long term it will be a pain for people who are playing this game a lot. That being said, I think there's a lot of ways to fix it, and I think that overall there are this is much better. For this method of getting the blesseds, and we are going to talk about more, the main thing that needs to happen, I think, is that whenever you pick up a tail, you do interact with an NPC. A couple of things can be done there, I think, to like make things easy. Number one is just showing a level above the quest giver's head. If it says 25 or a higher number than that, then it means that that tail can give you blesseds and like the 25 plus drop table type drops. That solves this pretty easily. It does mean that you would like run over to this and then be, oh, it's level 23, which is useless to me, and then you just run away and just wait for another one to spawn, I guess, which does kind of suck. But it gives you the clarity to not waste your time doing it, and that's good. The other method is similar. I think that there could just be another layer of talking to the NPC and then them giving you like a level choice. between what kind of thing you want to do. Like basically like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, where it's like, yeah, give me something that's like level 10, give me something that's like level 20, give me something that's like level 30. And like giving you that would also be very helpful. And you could really just like pick what you want to be playing. I think that also would be helpful for newer players, because if a newer player finds themselves in the Southeast and like it's going to end up being like a level 40 tail, if you just showed up with your unleveled Oselda, that's probably not going to be a super great experience. So I think that you could kind of fix things on a few different ends. That being said, like, I do think this is better, but the other way to get your Blesseds, I think, is better. And the other way is open world bossing, specifically the Mendicant King himself. So over here in Stroik, which is where we are, the Mendicant King, which I have a guide on killing him, there's a large variety of things that work quite well for taking him down. He is the best way to farm Blesseds, and that is for one specific reason. Now, since the video I made on him where I just like hard farmed him for his armor set, and his armor set is one of the best in the game, there's a reason why I'm wearing 2 pieces of it right here. He has been given a 1 hour cooldown on his spawn per player. Because it is per player, my suggestion for farming Blesseds is to go into the recruiting chat in game and do exactly what this person here is doing, which is hosting the king. If you have your king up, host the king, invite people, and join people that are fighting the king. Just rotate and fight as many kings as you possibly can. Use your recruiting chat. I think that is probably the singular best way to be getting Blesseds, because the king does have a drop rate for the Blesseds. It's where I've actually gotten most of my recent Blesseds. It's worth noting that it's kind of strange. The king can drop like all but the rusted variety of the different joineries, but he can drop Blesseds. I promise. We've gotten them on stream multiple times at a pretty decent rate. I do feel like his rate is like 30% to drop a joinery, and then inside of that there is some amount of rate to drop a Blessed, so it is like lower. But being able to consistently fight him way more by just standing here, joining people who are fighting him, inviting people to like fight him with you, is like a really fast process where like you don't go anywhere and you're just like going as hard as possible and everyone is killing their king constantly. And I think that is the best way. Obviously, at some point, people will not have kings to kill because they'll all be dead and on a 1 hour cooldown. And if you want to, at that point, you can, of course, try your luck at the 3-star tails and see if you can get one that's of decent level. From Stroik, that is kind of tough because anything picked up from about this location is usually not going to be level 25. So you'll probably have to run over here to the southeast to try your luck over there. But you do have an hour between kings, but ideally you could fill that with your like other kings that you're joining in on. The other thing I want to talk about is that the stag is supposed to drop Blessed Joineries. And that appears to not be the case in a number of different locations where the stag is level 25 plus, but actually doesn't drop anything, with the prominent location where the stag spawns being Sedai's Stake. So in Sedai's Stake, the stag spawns, and the stag in this location should be roughly level 30. This stag does not drop any joineries. We have farmed him very extensively. He has no drop rate for joineries, but should be able to drop Blesseds. At night, whenever you can like roll the chance for the stag to be here, the login location is the same as what we used from here to here. And that would theoretically be a really good farm for fighting the stag a bunch, to just log in, log out, and fight a bunch of stags at night. Again, this one does not currently drop any Blesseds. And I think that it's fine for like this, of course, logout farms I think are not great. But a night-only logout farm here maybe is within the realm of exception. That being said, I do think that like this stag should drop Blesseds, but this is not a problem if the changes are made to like the 3-star tails that I talked about. So if we make it so that these 3-star tails are a consistent thing where I'm able to get like level 25 plus tails on a consistent basis, that is better than logout farming this specifically only at night. Like logout farming this specifically only at night is not good compared to, oh, just rotate my 3 stars that I consistently get at like level 25 or 30. and just can, like, you know, roll blesseds from a variety of bosses, do a variety of activities, like, and can do that even during, like, the daytime of the game. That's always going to be the best thing to be doing, even when compared with the current state of the Mendicant King. If we get good consistency changes where we can do 3 stars at a good level, that will be the best thing, and I think that will be good because I think that's the intended gameplay loop of what DE probably wants us to do. Right now, though, it is inconsistent, so I would generally suggest the King as your number 1 option, and if you don't want to join others and do all that stuff, then that is, you know, just randomly doing 3s, I guess, until sometimes you get it, is the way, but I will note that that's going to be frustrating. The other thing that I do want to note is that there is currently a multiplayer bug with the King. So there is a particular thing that I really request that you do here, because otherwise you can lose blessed drops when fighting the King. When you fight the King, he will drop usually a bag, and then he has a drop from just being killed. The blessed can come out of either the bag or just killing him. Once you pick up the blessed, hit tab. Hit your button that sends you into your mind palace. Come in here, talk to Tuvalcane. Because whenever you run up to Tuvalcane, go to Reforge, go to a weapon, go to the Blessed Joinery that you just got, get in here and look at it. I know this is, like, stupid sounding, but if your inventory does not get, like, updated, whenever you drop game from the multiplayer that you're in, it can just not register and not save the drops that you got. If you come in here and actually just, like, look at the thing that you got, this menu, like, it's already saved by the time that you get here. So when you get a blessed drop from the King, just make sure, come in here, go to Tuvalcane and look at it. That will, like, lock it in. As far as I have experienced so far, I have lost a couple of blesseds because of this bug. Hopefully that's something that gets fixed. Obviously the multiplayer is in its early stages. It is pre-alpha. But that is just a tip to make sure that you guys don't lose anything, because it does suck to lose those blessed drops for sure. With that, though, that's, like, kind of the update on what's up. Obviously, like, the King is, you know, I have a whole video on fighting the King. That stuff hasn't changed. Orangol's still great. Oselda's still great. Ode Tempest is, of course, amazing. I'm going to have different videos that are, like, kind of full builds for all of them pretty soon here. But I just wanted to talk about, like, the current state of, like, the Blessed Farm, and I think some, you know, improvements that should still probably be made, and some bugs that are going around right now. And yeah, I would also like to note one other thing here is that currently there's no dungeon that is level 25 plus that ends in a boss objective. If they gave us that, that would also then become suddenly the best thing to be doing. Because right now we have, like, a consistently high level dungeon. We actually have a couple, like the multiplayer dungeon that's up here. But that dungeon is always rescuing the Sprout Folk. It never ends with a banneret. If it did end with a banneret, it would be the best farm for blesseds, but that currently does not exist. So DE could also give us a dungeon that would essentially be the Blessed Joinery farming dungeon, if they wanted to go that way. But I think that, you know, probably ideally the variety of a 3-star tail is probably the current possible ideal, just with some tweaks to how that system currently works, which we know they're making anyway. So hopefully maybe that's just in the plans and we don't know. But yeah, that's what's going on currently with the Blessed Joinery farming. Good luck to everyone who's trying to get their stuff. And yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. I'm gonna put out some just, like, you know, kind of build videos for, like, what we can put together right now for the best classes in the game. And I'll see you for that later.